and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast. Today, I'm joined by Suzannah. Suzannah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your bookkeeping business, and the kind of clients you work with, please?
Sure, thanks, Natasha. Hi, I'm Suzannah Whelan, and I own and run my practice, Sinclair Whelan Bookkeeping. We're based in Billericay in Essex. I set up the practice just over 16 years ago, so quite a while. I'm qualified and licensed by the ICB, and I provide a full range of accounting services to my clients who are limited companies, sole traders and landlords.
Perfect. And how did your bookkeeping journey start? What made you go into bookkeeping?
Well, it wasn't my first choice of career. It wasn't on my radar when I was growing up. And that's despite my father being a chartered accountant with his own practice. I wasn't interested in it at all. I always wanted to work in the media. I remember saying when I was a little girl, I want to be the person who decides where the adverts go. So it was quite specific and I knew what I wanted to do. And so when I left school, I got a job in a big London advertising agency, and then worked there for about just getting on for 2 years. And then I managed to land my dream job, which was working for Channel 4 in the advertising sales department. And I stayed there for about, I think it was 11 years, until I had my second child. And at that point, I thought I've got to do something else, because I was commuting into London, working long hours with 2 children, childcare, train fares, and just feeling like I was, just drowning a little bit with it all. And I thought I've got to do something completely different. And I had no idea what that was going to be. And then one day I saw a flyer in a magazine for a bookkeeping course. And it talked about the ICB on there. And I thought, oh, well, I could do that, because I'm good at sort of learning. I can learn from home what we know around the babies, and I can set up a practice and I can grow it really, really slowly, and I can just take on a couple of clients and it almost be pocket money when the children are, little, and just grow it. And it had that potential. And that's something that I love about being a bookkeeper, and how we can design our practices to suit us and to suit what we want. So yeah, I started from there, really. So I did my ICB qualifications when the children were little. And then when my youngest started, I think preschool, might have been school, I started, I set up the practice and started looking for clients, and just grew it really, really slowly over the first few years. So the first couple of years, I only had 2 or 3 clients. But that was great because I could do it in school hours, or some of it I could do at the weekends. But yeah, I mean, as you know, Natasha, it was completely different back then because we didn't have cloud software. So I had to go into clients' offices a lot. So that kind of restricted my growth as well, because I could only do that around sort of school times or when I had childcare. But yeah, that was how I started, and it's kind of gone from there.
Wow. What is the one word that describes your relationship with technology in your business at the moment?
I would say one word would be enthusiastic. But if I'm allowed 2 words, I'd say cautiously enthusiastic, because I love technology. I embrace it and use it to help me be more efficient. And it has meant that I've been able to grow my practice without needing to employ somebody, which I never wanted to do. I didn't ever want to be an employer. But at the same time, I'm quite cautious, and I try not to get shiny new object syndrome and, take on things that I don't necessarily need. Yeah. So, yeah.
So let's go on to your favourite. What is the Apple softwares that you simply could not run your business without?
Okay, well, I was thinking about this, and there are a few.
Yeah.
But the one that I wanted to talk about today, which at the moment is really, really relevant to me in my practice, is FreeAgent.
Okay.
And
perfect.
The reason for that, FreeAgent, because with everything coming along with MTD for income tax, FreeAgent for me is massively facilitating that. I've got quite a lot of sole trader clients, and over the last few years, I've been transitioning them from once a year shoebox clients onto software. So I've already got a lot of them, the majority of them, set up on FreeAgent, and FreeAgent was such a no-brainer for me for those clients, because as we know, little clients like that can be quite resistant to change, particularly if they've been going for a long time doing it their way. And being able to sort of show them how FreeAgent works and how it can make their lives easier, with things like being able to do their sales invoices on there, being able to use the receipt capture so they're not having to scrabble around for everything at year end and find a load of receipts that have all the ink has faded off, or they can't find them or whatever. So that has really helped with that. And then obviously the most obvious thing being that they can access it for free if they open a free Metal Business Bank account or a paid for NatWest Business Bank account. And that for me has facilitated that whole process of getting those clients ready for MTD, for income tax, with a kind of a clear process. So open the business bank account, because a lot of them didn't already have a separate one, or if they did, move it, get them set up on FreeAgent, and then I can provide a training session for them, showing them how to use it. I can get them uploading their receipts. And then for me, I can then offer either monthly or quarterly bookkeeping, explaining the benefits of that for them. And as well as it being well, you're going to have to do this anyway because MTD is coming and you've got no choice, it's that they're actually seeing the benefits of it. And I've been able to do it in that way as well, has meant that the way I'm pricing it has been less painful for the client, because you're able to sort of introduce the different elements at different stages. So you're not at the last minute going, you're going to have to be on digital software and do quarterly returns, and it's going to cost you this much, and it's a big leap. So they're able to see the benefits. We're able to smooth that price increase. And then for me, in my practice, it's making it so much easier, because I don't want to get a big shoebox with everyone coming to me with shoe boxes at year end and having to do it all at the same time. It's just so much more efficient. So I don't know how I would deal with those MTD clients if I didn't have FreeAgent.
How did you discover FreeAgent? Was it a game changer from day one, or is it kind of like it took a while to really get into the swing of how much this is going to help your client base?
I don't think it was a day one thing. So I had a client, I took on a client. I'd heard of FreeAgent, but I hadn't particularly looked at it. I hadn't really thought, this was before MTD was even sort of on the horizon. So it was I'd say a good sort of maybe 6 years ago, perhaps 5 or 6 years ago. I had a client that came to me, a new client, who I inherited actually from another ICB bookkeeper, and she was closing her practice, so she'd recommended me, and he came to me and he was already on FreeAgent, so that was my introduction to it. And once I sort of got to grips with it, which is it's very easy to use, it's very intuitive, I really loved it, and I could see how that would work for my other sole traders, and so it went from there. And then obviously once MTD for income tax was on the horizon, even the first time round before it got delayed, I started moving clients onto it. And now I'm finding I'm getting quite a lot of new inquiries from sole traders who are aware that MTD is coming and don't know where to start. And again, I'm able to put them on it, and I'm just getting people saying to me, oh my God, it's just such a relief, and they love it. It works really well for them.
Are there any clever automations or tips that you've set up with it to make both your life easier and your client's life easier?
You can set up repeating bills and repeating invoices. So for the clients, they tend to do their own invoicing, and I haven't really got anywhere the repeating invoicing would probably be useful to them, because they're mainly like kind of, it's going to vary each time. But yeah, the repeating bills function is good. Obviously, the bank feeds and the receipt capture are brilliant. It also learns from sort of previous categorization. So it will put it in a different color. So it won't mark it as explained and say that this is, this, it hasn't posted it in the bank feed, but it will mark it in a different color and suggest what it thinks it should be, which can be helpful. Yeah, as long as clients don't get trigger happy and, like what they do sometimes with any kind of bank feed suggestion. And I always say, read it before you click it. But yeah, that really helps.
Do you think that FreeAgent has helped you scale, save time, or even kept your sanity when dealing with clients?
Yes, all three of those. I mean, definitely with the scaling, because it's helped with that process of either taking on new clients, but also freeing up my time on existing clients by getting them set up on it. What were the other things you said? Freeing up time, scaling?
Yeah, and keeping your sanity.
Keeping my sanity, yeah, definitely, because I'm not getting so many shoeboxes now. The only shoeboxes I get are those new clients who have come to me for the first time, and I say to them right at the start, even before we've engaged, when we're still having those sort of discovery calls, what I will be doing is we'll do this year on a spreadsheet, with the information you give me and the receipts and the bank statements, and then we're going to get you set up on FreeAgent, and it just works so well.
Yeah, I tend to call people with shoeboxes who, after taught how to use the apps and that they don't still use it, they call them the box of shame, because they have a fantastic app, but they don't use it. And so I have a couple of those clients who have boxes of shames now, not shoeboxes. Okay.
I love that.
Are there any common mistakes that you've seen other bookkeepers do when using FreeAgent? Like, for example, are they not optimizing all the facilities? Like you say, it has a great receipt capture facility. It has an amazing bank feed. Do you think some bookkeepers are optimizing FreeAgent to get the best out of it?
Possibly not. I mean, I haven't sort of seen that firsthand, because apart from that very first client who came to me and his books were fine because it was from an ICB bookkeeper, that very first one, everybody else I've set up myself. So I haven't sort of taken over and seen where it hasn't been done properly.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there are people out there who might not be aware. And I mean, another thing about FreeAgent, I sound like I'm doing a sales pitch here. They've got a great knowledge base, and you can, and loads of really good support and guides and stuff. So it's really, really easy to make sure you're using those features.
Yeah. If you had a magic wand and you could change just one aspect or one thing about FreeAgent, what would it be? Or do you need to change anything?
There's always going to be little niggly things, I think. So I would say, as a disclaimer here, FreeAgent, whilst I absolutely love it, it's not suitable for all clients. It wouldn't be, and I wouldn't want it to be, and they wouldn't want it to be either, I don't think. They know where their target market is, and that is small, uncomplicated clients. I probably wouldn't even use it for limited companies unless they were really tiny. So the thing I would change, though, it's a little bit of an annoying feature where even if the client isn't VAT registered, the VAT still shows in the bank feed. And when you're categorizing a transaction, it still gives you the option of choosing the correct VAT rate. And that can really confuse clients. When I've asked FreeAgent about it, the reason they do it is because if you're categorizing everything correctly, as you would do if they were VAT registered, if they then go VAT registered at a later date, it makes it easier to claim back those pre-registration expenses. So I do understand that, but I think it's confusing for clients. And it's confusing for bookkeepers and accountants as well the first time they see it, because you think, oh, have we not set this up correctly? So there's that. And there's a few little things that, they're very good at taking on feedback. So recently, I was speaking with Kirsty, actually, because she's started using FreeAgent, and she couldn't work out how to do a payment on account for a supplier that had been overpaid. or it might have been the other way around. It might have been a customer who overpaid, but either way, couldn't work out how to do it. And there isn't a simple way of doing it. There is a workaround. She's put that in as feedback, so hopefully they might look to develop that. So it's little things like that, but really on the whole, if it's a small, straightforward client, it works really, really well.
Happy. Have you used FreeAgent with any other apps or tools to supercharge it?
Yes. So it's got quite a lot of integrations. They're quite sort of open to talking to other softwares and integrating. My favorite integration is Xenon Connect. Really love that. That works really well, again, particularly for that kind of client, because some of them want to do their own bookkeeping, and I will provide a quarterly bookkeeping checking service for them. And that Xenon Connect works so well with that to spot those errors really, really quickly. And I can also say to the client, this is how I'm doing it, and if your health score falls below a certain percentage, you're going to have to pay me to do the bookkeeping instead, because you're not doing it properly. And with MTD, we haven't got time to, we're not going to have time to mess around. So that is a great integration. It also integrates with auto entry, which I don't tend to use that often with it, because most of the time, if the client is uploading the receipts themselves via FreeAgent's mobile receipt capture, then that works really well. But if they come to me with a shoebox ever, which I discourage, but if that happens, I can shove it all through auto entry and do it much more quickly for myself. And then it integrates with Engager, so that's really good. So in your Engager screen, you can get the insights on the P&L and any VAT and stuff like that. So yeah, there's some good integrations that you can do that really, again, really help me.
That's brilliant. Now we're moving away from that one now. Apart from obviously FreeAgent, what are your other 3 top go-to apps in your tech stack?
Okay, so I definitely need a receipt capture tool of some description for all my clients. So that would either be auto entry or Apron, depending on the client, depending on what software they use and how much we need to, how many invoices we need to process. So that's one. Engager, can't run my practice without Engager anymore. I mean, it's just fantastic for everything, for workflows, for the document signing, the client portal, everything. And I don't actually use Engager for my pricing. I do still use Go Proposal with Oversuite, and I couldn't run my practice without a pricing software, and I love Go Proposal, and Oversuite is a no-brainer for me because it just keeps all those letters of engagement really watertight. So those would be my top 3, I think. And then if I was allowed a fourth, a close fourth, it would be Xenon, because it is really useful.
Okay, I'll allow that one. How often do you review your tech stack?
I kind of review it ongoing. So because it's just me in my practice, I know if something isn't working properly, or if I need something, if I need something to do something else. So I would say kind of ongoing, and I talk to a lot of other bookkeepers and find out what they're using. So I'm kind of on social media, you hear people talking about different things, and on webinars and podcasts and other things like that. So kind of ongoing, and I go to all the events and I go and look at them all. I don't change things all that regularly, but that's because I'm happy with how they are. I do have a list of ones I need to look at that I would like to think about sort of bringing into the practice. It's just a lot of the time it's just getting the time to actually sit down and do it. But I think I'm pretty good at reviewing stuff.
Can you give a piece of advice for bookkeepers who feel overwhelmed by all the software choices out there? There is a lot of software out there that all claim to do various different things. What is your key piece of advice to the bookkeepers who are absolutely swamped and overwhelmed by all the choices out there?
Yeah, it is hard, isn't it? I would say, well, firstly, I would say if you're starting out, this is the time, you've got the time to start looking at stuff. So do it. do it now. If you've been going for a while and you are literally swamped with client work, I think look at what your pain points are and what problems you need to solve and prioritize those. And deal with those problems first, because there's a lot of stuff which is nice to have but not necessarily essential, so those things can wait. And it's just a question of priorities, really.
I agree. Right, we're moving to the quick fire round. So iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Xero, QuickBooks or Sage, or possibly FreeAgent? I should put them there as well.
I use all of them actually, but FreeAgent is my favorite for sole traders and Xero is my favorite for sort of more complex clients.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Both. Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon.
What is the one piece of business wisdom or tech wisdom you wish you'd learned a lot earlier?
Okay, I think firstly, make sure you have support, build a network. It's so important. Other people in your situation, other bookkeepers who can really support you and offer advice and solutions on everything from software to pricing to dealing with particular situations with clients to technical advice. That's got to be the main one. And then just get your pricing right. It's hard at the beginning and it takes some time, but don't undersell yourself.
Okay, and my final question for
maybe
you today,
use pricing software to help you with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. My final question for you today is, what app do you think is underrated and deserves a little bit more love?
I would say maybe Xenon Connect, because I think everyone who uses it loves it, but I don't think enough people know about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It is absolutely amazing. I 100% agree with that one. No, that's brilliant. So thank you very much for being a fabulous guest today. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you everybody.
Thank you.